Hey, I'm Dr. Dino Pappas. Thanks for watching this video. The content of this video are my views and my views alone. They do not represent the content of any agency or entity that I may be affiliated with. Today's topic is going to be bottom of the foot pain. There's three differentials, three diagnoses that exist on the bottom of the foot that we commonly see in the office. All pain on the bottom of the foot is not plantar fasciitis, not plantar fasciopathy. So I'm going to kind of help you sift through the layers about how to pick these out, what tests to utilize, and what's the mechanism by which these diagnoses create pain and discomfort. So let's start at the bottom here. Stress fracture. Stress fracture means the bone in the bottom of the foot, the calcaneus, is breaking down. And the reason why is impact. So when the bottom of the foot, when this bottom of the foot hits the ground, strikes the ground over and over and over again, eventually it starts to whittle down and aggravate the bone. The internal structure and architecture of the bone starts to fail. When that happens, it will create pain and discomfort. What tests do you utilize? Again, all pain on the bottom of the foot is not plantar fasciitis, is not plantar fasciopathy. The squeeze test, the pound test, and the heel walk test. The squeeze test is very simply, I'm going to grab my heel using my thumb and my index finger, and I'm going to squeeze pretty hard across the heel. If a patient lights up with pain, it is painful, uncomfortable, it is a good indicator that the calcaneus bone is being stressed and an indicator they could have a stress fracture, stress reaction. You piggyback that with the pound test, where the provider takes the palm of his hand and they strike the heel. This is mimicking the impact of walking or running. That is an indicator, if painful, that the calcaneus is being stressed, again, indicative of a stress fracture. Then the heel walk test. A lot of doctors learn this as a neurological test, but as you walk through your heels and you put weight through your heels, you're driving the heel bone into the ground, mimicking impact, and that impact mechanism will light up a stress fracture, stress reaction. So positive squeeze test, positive pound test, positive heel walk test. Likewise, walking on their toes will not produce pain. You're not impacting the heel bone. A windlass test, where a patient is in this position, you have them lean forward and you sharply dorsiflex the toe to create tension across the medial longitudinal arch and in the plantar fascia, will not be painful. Tinel's test, tapping over the posterior tibial nerve and over the medial calcaneal nerve, will not be painful. And then nerve tension testing will also not be painful. So impact mechanism, squeeze, pound, and heel walk are impact-based tests. The picture has to line up sharp stabbing pain in the heel with impact to the heel. So the second diagnosis, plantar fasciopathy, all right? The squeeze test, again, squeezing the heel will not be positive. Again, a good squeeze of the heel right through here. Pound test, hitting on the heel, will not produce pain. Walking on your heel should not produce pain. That's an impact mechanism to the bone. But walking on their toes may be painful. As I walk on my toes, I'm using a tensile or pulling force that's pulling on the plantar fascia attachment on the heel. That is a mechanism by which the plantar fascia may be stimulated to create pain. Likewise, a windlass test. Windlass test is, I have a patient walking, I lean them forward, and I sharply dorsiflex their toe, creating pulling or tensile force right here. That will produce pain. Tapping on the nerve, Tinel's test and nerve tension test are typically negative. With the plantar fascia, there's another mechanism which creates pain, and that's ischemic. And that's when you start to say the patient that has pain first thing in the morning when the plantar fascia is not loose and supple, or after sitting, the first couple steps, because the tissue does not have enough blood flow, is also painful. So plantar fascia can be tensile. Tensile, you're checking for toe walking and windlass. Ischemic, you're listening, ears are open to their history, looking for pain after extended periods of rest. The last one is nerve tension. Nerves can be aggravated by too much stretch. The foot is pronating excessively. They're putting too much stress, pronating excessively right here through this tunnel, or compression. Too much compression to this tunnel here, tarsal tunnel, or the medial calcaneal nerve is creating compression of that nerve. Listen for what the cause is in the history. Again, negative squeeze, negative pound, negative heel walk, those are impact tests. Toe walk is typically negative. Windlass test is negative. But when you tap on the nerve on the inside portion of the foot, it's typically painful or uncomfortable. Or tension tests, nerve tension tests. When I put them in this position, I dorsiflex and evert the foot. They'll create burning, tingling numbness on the inside part of their foot. Or I compress right here in the tarsal tunnel and I evert and dorsiflex the foot. I create stretch and then compression right in here that can produce pain and discomfort. Those tests are nerve tension tests that may reproduce pain. How do you treat these? Treatment all depends on the cause. Reducing the impact is critical for a stress fracture. That means time off of your feet from a weight-bearing standpoint. You may want to consider a walking boot or a cushion. Tensile plantar fasciopathy, you have to strengthen that. You have to make the bottom of the foot bigger, faster, stronger, harder to kill. So strengthening is the goal. Ischemic, frequent mobilization. They're mobilizing the tissue over the course of the day, or sleeping in a brace that, again, puts stretch to the tissue, which is bringing more blood flow. And then nerve tension. If stretch is the mechanism, reducing the stretch to the tissue. If compression is the mechanism, adding in stretch becomes important. So the important parts, not everything on the bottom of the foot is plantar fasciitis. Treatment depends on the cause. That requires an assessment and diagnosis, to which we can be better using this simple graph and an understanding of mechanisms. I'm Dr. Dino Pappas. I'd like to say thanks for watching. Please turn on those notifications and hit subscribe.